Children, come back to online classes. Today we are going to see history third chapter, that is ruling the countryside. So what is countryside? Countryside means rural area. So ruling the countryside. First topic is the company becomes the Diwan. On 12th August 1765, the Mughal Emperor appointed the East India Company as the Diwan of Bengal. So here Diwan means under Mughal administration in India, Diwan was usually the highest official in a state. A chief treasury official, finance minister or prime minister in some states. The actual event most probably it took place in Robert Clive's tent with a few Englishmen and some Indians as witnesses. But in the painting above, the event is shown as a majestic occasion taking place in a grand setting. The painter was commissioned by Clive to record the memorable events in Clive's life. The Grand of Diwani clearly was one such event in British imagination. As Diwan, the company became the chief financial administrator of the territory under its control. Now, it had to think of administering the land and organizing its revenue resources. This had to be done in a way that could yield enough revenue to meet the growing expenses of the company. A trading company had also to ensure that it could buy the products it needed and sell what it wanted. Becoming chief financial administrator, they thought of administrating the land and organizing its revenue resources to get enough revenue to meet growing expenses of company. Here, revenue means the income that a business has from its normal business activities, usually from the sale of goods and services. Over the years, the company also learned that it had to move with some caution. Being an alien power, it needed to pacify those who in the past had ruled the countryside and enjoyed authority and prestige. Those who had held local power had to be controlled, but they could not be entirely eliminated. Here, caution means care taken to avoid mistakes. Now, over the years, the company had learned that how to be careful and avoid. See how the company came to colonize the countryside, organize revenue resources, redefine the rights of people, and produce the crops it wanted. Now, our next topic is revenue for the company. The company had become the Diwan, but it still saw itself primarily as a trader. It wanted more revenue income, but was unwilling to set up any regular system of assessment and collection. They want to increase the revenue as much as it could because they want to buy fine cotton and silk cloth as cheaply as possible. So within 5 years, the value of goods bought by the company in Bengal doubled. So before 1865, the company purchased goods in India by importing gold and silver from Britain. But now the revenue collected in Bengal could finance the purchase of goods for export. Now they are not importing gold and silver from Britain, but the revenue which they are collecting in Bengal, from that only they are financing the purchase of goods for export. Soon it was clear that the Bengal economy was facing a deep crisis. Artisans were deserting villages. That means artisans were leaving villages since they were forced to sell their goods to the company at low prices. Peasants were unable to pay the dues that were being demanded from them. Artisanal production was in decline and agricultural cultivation showed sign of collapse. That means cultivation was fallen down. Then in 1770 a terrible famine killed 10 million people in Bengal. About one third of the population was wiped out. Here famine means extreme scarcity of food. So due to extreme scarcity of food, 10 million people in Bengal were killed and one third of the population was wiped out. Next heading is the need to improve agriculture. Most of the company officials, they began to feel that investment in land had to be encouraged and agricultural had to be improved so that they can get the revenue income. After 2 decades of debate on the question, the company finally they introduced a permanent settlement in 1793. By the term of the settlement, the Rajas and Talukdars were recognized as Jamindars. Here, Talukdars were aristocrats who formed the ruling class during the Mughal and British times. They were owner of vast amount of lands, consistently hereditary, and were responsible for collecting taxes. They were asked to collect rent from the peasants and pay revenue to the company. The amount which was paid is fixed permanently, that is, it was not to be increased ever in future. It was felt that this would ensure a regular flow of revenue into the company's coffers. Coffers here means treasury. And at the same time encourage the Jamindars to invest in improving the land. Since the revenue demand of the state would not be increased, the Zamindar would benefit from increased production from the land. There was a problem with the permanent settlement of Bengal after it was introduced in 1793. The East India Company introduced the permanent settlement in 1793 to increase the flow of its revenue. So according to the term of the permanent settlement, the Rajas and Talukdars were recognized as Jamindars. Jamindars collected revenue from the peasants. The revenue amount to be paid to the company was fixed. The revenue amount was not to be increased in the future. So the problem from the permanent settlement is that the permanent settlement of Bengal was introduced by the company officials to ensure a regular flow of income into the company treasury. But however, it was also assumed that the Zamindars would invest in the improvement of the land. However, Zamindars did not invest any money in the improvement of the land even after benefit from the increased production of the land. The revenue fixed was very high and some Zamindars found it difficult to pay the revenue and lost their Zamindari rights. Zamindaris were either sold or auctioned off by the company officials. Zamindars gave out land to tenants and extracted rent from them at any cost. Zamindars saw the possibility of earning without trouble and risk of investment. They were giving land on rent to tenants so that they did not need to improve. And in the villages, the cultivator found the system extremely oppressive. The rent he paid to the zamindar was high and his right on the land was insecure. To pay the rent, he had to often take a loan from the moneylenders, and when he failed to pay the rent, he was evicted from the land he had cultivated from generations. Now, next topic is a new system is devised. By the early 19th century, the company changed the system of revenue. Since the company need more money to meet its expenses of administration and trade, then how could revenue be fixed permanently? So, in the north-west provinces of the Bengal, Maharwari system was introduced. In this system, village was taken as a revenue unit. In this system, land was inspected, fields were measured, rights and customs of different groups were noted, and then revenue of all the plots of the village was calculated and added so as to estimate the revenue of the mahal. The demand of the revenue was to be revised periodically. The responsibility of collecting revenue was given to the village headman. Here, mahal word is given in this paragraph. Meaning of this in British revenue records, mahal is a revenue estate which may be a village or a group of villages. Let us see the next topic, the Munro system. In the British territories in the south, there was a similar move away from the idea of permanent settlement. The new system that was devised came to be known as the Royatwar or Royatwari system. In South India, there was no tradition of zamindars, the Royats, tilled the land for generations. So Monroe decided to have contracts directly with the Royats, hence the Royatwari system was introduced. Under this system, their fields had to be carefully and separately surveyed before the revenue assessment was made. Monroe thought that the British should act as paternal father figures protecting the Royats under their charge. Next is all was not well. Within a few years after the new systems were imposed, it was clear that all was not well with them. Driven by the desire to increase the income from land, revenue officials fixed too high a revenue demand, which peasants were unable to pay. Therefore, Royats fled the countryside and villages became deserted in many regions. Optimistic officials had imagined that the new systems would transform the peasants into rich enterprising farmers, but this did not happen.